Hello everyone, welcome to the Africam show. It's me, Trishala, and we are starting off with my favorite animals. Whenever I say that, I regret saying it because it's so hard to pick favorites, but elephants really are on the top of my list. And we're starting off here at Katmai in Baluli. Ooh, I was really hoping for elephants today, and I'm always glad to spend all this time with all of you for the Africam show. So for the next 45 minutes or so, we'll get to go across the different cameras and experience whatever wildlife happens to be on the cams at that time. And that's because we are live and interactive, so that means you can send through questions and comments. Oh, hello, little. Coming right over to the cam. Oh, how cool is that? Oh, this is just so lovely. It makes me feel like I want to whisper just because I see them getting interested in me, when I know it's just interested in the camera, but it makes me just want to whisper and take all of this in. Oh, this is just lovely. Now, like I was saying, we are live and interactive. That means you can send through questions and comments, and we've already got a few coming through for us this afternoon. Peace to ya. Hi, Peace to ya. You say you believe this is the first time that you're joining us for this show and you're excited. Thank you for coming on board. I hope that you have some questions, and if not, maybe you just want to relax and chill and listen. That's totally fine too, but thank you for joining us. Zygote, you say namaste to me, namaste to you too, Zygote. Casper said, Ghost, you say good Tuesday from 18 degrees Fahrenheit and windy in Milwaukee. Oh my goodness, that doesn't sound too great, I must admit. But you've got some coffee, which is always helpful, and a slow cooker full of warming stew for the day. Africa cams will keep you warm also, you say. Yes, I believe they will. Bridget McKenney, you say, hi Trishala, you've got some hot tea today. I've also got some hot tea today. I've got some hot peppermint tea. Not that it's particularly cold. I was just feeling a little tea-ish. Now, when we're out in the bush in person, being able to sit with elephants and have tea as a guide is not something you usually get to do. Coffee, maybe, occasionally. But sitting with a nice hot cup of tea and watching elephants must be one of life's greatest pleasures. Especially for us wildlife lovers. Amber Co, you say, happy Tuesday to all. Sharing the Africam show is a wonderful way to spend time. It is a wonderful way to spend time. We get to spend time with the animals, but also with each other in a way. And thank you to me and all that make this show possible. Thank you so much, Amber Co. Aussie Jan too. Good afternoon, one and all. You say coffee break. Of course, we wouldn't have expected any less. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Now this is quite a stunning mixed herd. Now they're not exactly mixed. When I say mixed, I'm saying that we're seeing different groups or different sexes together. There's the breeding herd, who came in with females and their offspring and some adolescent males, but I also see some bulls here as well. I remember that mature bulls will not be part of the herd, but instead they may follow the herd around. Now this one that's really close to us on the right, it's thinking a little bit. You saw the subtle movement of the trunk. You even might have seen the left foot kind of lift up I see that most often when it almost looks contemplative. Maybe they're trying to figure out where they want to move, which direction they want to go in, or maybe they were looking at the camera. Now, of course, the camera is not like a human, so they're not going to be any kind of response. They're not going to see eyes or anything like that. But with the subtle movements of the camera, we know that it can make this really like windy, soft sound. And elephants do have excellent hearing. It could be that they're picking up on that. But then also remember that the camera does have a kind of reflective uh, cover over it. So they could also be looking at their own reflection. Maybe even the way the light reflects off that bit. But I love it because animals be able to be curious about it, the camera, but there's not even the hint of threat, which means that we can observe them as naturally as possible. Again, just because we're there in person as guides or scientists or naturalists or even just guests in our vehicles, if we're there in person, it doesn't mean that we're disturbing the animal. But just imagine if you're home alone compared to if your siblings are home or whatever, you're still going to be you, but you know, maybe you'll eat from a plate instead of the pan. It can definitely affect our behavior in subtle ways, not necessarily good or bad. And that's the same when we're there in person. So when we get to see animals, oh, how cool is that? When we get to see animals in person, it's very, very special. When we get to observe them through the camera, kind of feels a little big brothery. Don't hit us! My goodness, this is so crazy. Can you tell that I haven't been to the bush in a while? I need to get my fix. I am loving this. And just imagine right now, it is 7 minutes past 4 in the afternoon in South Africa where I'm sitting. And here, this camera in South Africa and Baluli, right now, these elephants are having the time of their lives at Katmai Pan. I have so many other hellos to get to. You're just being spectacular. Aren't these close-ups just phenomenal? Phenomenal. Oh, April Owl, hi. You say wonderful close-ups too. You also told us good morning. You're enjoying your iced cherry tea in a cloudy Connecticut, and you're looking forward. This is just magnificent. Magnificent way to start off the Africam show this afternoon. Kauru, you say hi, Trishala. Hi, Kauru. Thank you for joining us. I love to hear familiar names, but also I like to hear new names as well. Mr. H, UAE87. Oh, I like it. You say, hi, Trish. I've got carrot cake and red tea. What a lovely way to enjoy the Africam show. Grumpy old man, you say, it's her, Trishala. It's me. Lovely to have you on board. Lone Star Stinger, you say, BBs, elephants seem most or almost mythical. We don't deserve them. They are almost mythical. They are, for me, I think, the most incredible animal to spend time with. There's something that you see with elephants that you don't get to see that much with other animals. There's a little tussle there. Did you hear that rumble? I'm just going to be quiet. Can you hear that? That's the sound of their tusks knocking, an unmistakable sound in the bush. Pay attention to the low rumbles as well. So on this side closest to the camera, it looks like we've just got a few bulls. Yes, hello. Over on at that end, you can see very clearly that we've got the breeding herd. So what I was saying to you is that when we spend time with elephants in person, there's a sort of recognition that you don't really get with other animals. And I've spent lots of time with most of Africa's mammals, large mammals. And with elephants, oh, goodness me. When I speak, they will turn and look at me. When they're curious, they'll come up to the vehicle. They will look at you in your eyes. It's almost like they're communicating with you, but you just don't know how. But somehow there's a little bit of a connection there. And I say it's something you don't see in most other mammals, because what I've found is that that particular thing I'm talking about with elephants, that feeling of connection, it happens with any elephant at any time, whether you've seen that elephant or not previously. But what I have found, I mean, I especially apart from elephants spent a lot of time with hyenas and with leopards. The more time you spend with certain individuals, the more that connection kind of gets cultivated. So for example, now that when I spend time with hyenas that I'm familiar with, I feel that same kind of way. But with elephants, it's instant. So with other animals, it takes it just a little bit more time. And for me, that speaks to quite a bit of emotional intelligence, and it makes sense as well because we know that in the elephant's brain, those centers that are associated with emotion and communication and intelligence are very, very well developed. So in a lot of ways, Lone Star Stinger, they do feel magical and mythical. Peace to ya, you say, oh my, thank you. Yes, we'll give you all the attention. Peace to ya. This is your first time. Lone Star Stinger, you also say you randomly found this live just now, and you're unfamiliar with the channel, but you see elephants, and you clicked, and thanks for sharing. Thank you for hopping on. So Africam, what we do here is we have different cameras across southern Africa, well, across Africa actually, and on our website you can click on the different cameras, and you can view those live streams and just see what's happening in wildlife areas at that time. And we've been incredibly lucky with the types of wildlife that we've been able to capture, from striped hyenas, which is super rare to see. We've seen like Monty Python, who is our African rock python who catches birds. We haven't seen in a while, unfortunately. We see leopards, lions, elephants, and all in their natural environments. We just have a camera placed there. And a lot of the time you can move over to a camera and there'll be nothing happening, because remember, it is a completely wild space. So there's no control over the animals. So sometimes you may jump onto the cams and see nothing, and then other times it's just bustling. But that's the beauty of it. It is truly natural. And then apart from the live streams, we obviously have shows like this that where you can jump on, and then you can ask questions and send through comments, and you get a safari guide or naturalist answering them, which is what I am. So a great place to learn about wildlife, a great place to just observe and immerse yourself in nature a little bit, and also a great little wildlife enthusiast community too. So we hope that you'll stick around, Lone Star Stinger. Casper said ghost. Yeah, I agree with you. It is amazing how these large creatures bring such pure calm. I find it stunning here after explaining to you that they're there's this connection and this emotional intelligence involved with elephants, and also so much calm and peace. It is amazing if you move into an elephant herd or you see elephants coming towards you, how quickly you can tell that that is not the case. And I think that's one of the first ways that I'm able to detect that elephants are not happy with me. Obviously, there's the things that you have to look out in terms of their behaviors and their displays, lifting up their heads, displaying with their ears open, those kinds of things, protecting their trunk, or even, mock charging at you. There's obviously those things, but before any of that, it's like you get a feeling, obviously, the more experienced you become with elephants, but it's almost like you get a feeling that, hey, the normal calm that I'm associating with elephants, something's not right. Something doesn't feel the same. And so it works. It works both ways, Cultivating a little bit of connection with wildlife can really help you to be a good guide. It's not just about the information, but also about knowing them. Kind of, an intuition. I like to think that intuition is kind of the knowledge you don't know you have yet. It hasn't really sunk into your conscious mind, but it's there. And you can pick up very, very little things, even if you can't describe or articulate what it is that gave you this feeling. Oh, it's Bob from Kalamazoo. You say happy day with Trish and the nature and wildlife. Nice to see you or to hear you, Bob. I wonder, could you see which individual did that? I saw it straight away. We know that sound. That is the sound of a youngster that's being weaned that is not happy about its mother denying it some milk. And that little one that did it, or it wasn't so little, it looked like it was about 3 or 4 years old, is dead center over on the other side. Can you see that youngster? Dead center over on the other side of the pan. That was the screecher. A Lone Star Singer, you say the ear is flapping. Ah, you're dying from cuteness overload right now. Yes, it is. I think this is everyone's experience, everyone's first experience of seeing animals in their natural environment is that they're so cute. They're so cute. And you're just in awe of all your senses being overloaded by cuteness, by majesty, by size, by smell sometimes. You also say intelligent eyes. I'm glad that you spoke about the eyes, because you can say, or you can tell a lot from an elephant, or about an elephant, by looking at their eyes. And oftentimes when I have elephants very, very close to me, it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing. Sometimes you end up in a situation where you've had a parked car for a long time and elephants come up to you. And you don't want to turn off your vehicle and drive at that point, because what you'll do is you'll startle the elephant, and then you will actually cultivate behaviors that will encourage elephants to chase vehicles, which is not what you want. You want everyone to be very peaceful with each other. But the problem is that when an elephant is really, really close to you, it becomes a little bit more difficult to determine their posturing behaviors because they're so close. And one thing that is a dead giveaway for me are their eyes. I mean, if they're very close to you and they're approached calmly in the first place, it's really unlikely that they're suddenly going to turn when they're very close to the vehicle. But at the same time, all animals are potentially dangerous, and you don't know if something has caused it to be upset or uncomfortable. You don't, maybe suddenly they smell the fumes of your car when they didn't previously and it has upset them. Things you don't have control over. So it's always important to be vigilant constantly, even as you're enjoying yourself. Elephants when they are a little bit upset, when they're uncomfortable, adults I'm talking about, they really widen their eyes. They look like they're in shock. You can see the whites of their eyes. But when they're relaxed, their eyelids are dropped. You can see that they're very calm, and sometimes they'll even close their eyes next to the vehicle and be very, very peaceful. So eyes are an important factor. I'm trying to figure out, am I handling the situation correctly? Is the elephant comfortable? Kaoru, you say, is this a breeding herd? It is, isn't it? You are right. So we have two things going on here. We have the breeding herd, which, of course, as you know, females and their youngsters, their offspring. And then we had a bunch of bulls or a bachelor herd come through as well. And at the moment, they're kind of all mixed up. But remember that bachelor herds, which are adult males, are not part of the breeding herd. They're separate. But at a water source, they will come together. If males sniff out some mating opportunities, they may come together as well. And just by the fact that they share a similar area, they're going to um, pass each other, and they would already know each other. Now, I think that's really rude, Mr. Elephant, Miss Elephant. You're drinking water and dribbling it on the forehead of your friend there. Yes. But what do I know about elephant etiquette? Yes, you are a bull. Much taller than everybody else. Apart from that, there was a very obvious penis sheath that um, got nice and shiny in the sun so I could see properly. Oh, Timber Grace! Feel like I haven't heard your name in a while. You say good morning all from a chilly but sunny Minneapolis. You're oh, I love this. You say you're living it Bob from Kalamazoo style today with a Diet Coke this morning. Nice. I like it. Oh, Karu, you'd like to know how long do the baby elephants nurse for? They will tend to nurse for about 3 to 4 years, definitely 2 years. Between 3 and 4 years, they're starting to be weaned. That's when you sort of hear all the trumpeting and the denying milk from mum. And so if we think about it, and I'm glad you asked, because if we think about the gap between siblings, we have to first consider that once a mum gives birth to her calf, and the calf is now alive, that's at least 3 years that she won't be able to fall pregnant again. Like with most mammals, if they're still lactating, so they're still producing milk, then that kind of suppresses the hormones related to ovulation. So she's not going to be ovulating as effectively during that time. She may still be ovulating, but not as effectively. So that just reduces her chances of falling pregnant again. So we'll consider that there's at least 3 years for her to nurse her youngster. Once it stops nursing, then she gets back into a good estrus cycle. Maybe she falls pregnant straight away. Then it's 22 months of gestation, so almost 2 years. So generally speaking, there's at least 5 years between calves. So elephants are really, really putting a lot of effort into their populations. Lots of parental investment, lots of bodily and biological investment. Lone Star Singer, you say you've never seen another mammal baby play the way they do, like without a particular reason, for skill building or something like that, and they remind you of human toddlers a bit. It may look this way, it may look like they're just playing indiscriminately, and I have seen this kind of thing with other mammals as well, and it's actually a mammal trait. So I've seen it tons of times with hyenas, with leopards. they'll do some really weird things, and you think, what on earth are you doing? Of course, it's really funny to us, and elephants are the same, but they most definitely are skill building. Or maybe skill building is the wrong word. Yes, skill building does happen, but there are really important developmental things that are happening when mammals play. Usually that's involved, and you see play most often in those mammals that are particularly social, and that's because play allows those youngsters to develop muscular coordination. So it allows them to develop the muscles they need to maybe, you know, dip down and reach the water with their trunk, or to, if you see very often with little calves, they almost look like they're mounting each other when they're playing because they just put their two front legs over the back of the other. That's really important for them to develop how to lift their body that way, because maybe they want to stretch up and reach for marulas when they're older. But that kind of play really helps with developing those muscles, for knowing their limits, what their body can do at the time. And remember, this is applicable to most mammals, and particularly to those that are social. It also develops cognitive function, just like human babies. And on top of that, it helps them socially to figure out what the rules are within their social group. Um, who am I allowed to ram into? Who am I allowed to bite the tail off? Um, what will happen if I do that? So in or in very socially advanced or intelligent animals or mammals, those are really, really important things. So it does look like they're just having fun, and I like to feel like they are, but at the same time, that fun is important for their development as well. Maybe not skill development, but definitely their neurological development, their social development, and the development of their own body and their strength and their limits. Casper's third ghost, you say you agree with that if you're having a bad moment, just a few moments watching these beautiful Ellies washes away the blues. It does. It really does. Here, for all the African viewers out there, and I know so many of you are absolutely dedicated to the cameras, and you spend so much time watching and tagging animals and getting to know animals and IDing. I really, really wish that you all could come down to Africa, come to South Africa, and spend time with these animals in person. I really, really wish that you could, if you haven't already. If you have, then you know. But that's my festive season wish for all of you, that you're able to experience this in person one day. Jean Gale, you say, good morning, drinking coffee north of rainy Seattle. It's still dark there. Oh my goodness, then coffee sounds great. Kennedy Ann, yes, that was very loud. The elephants were really loud there at that time. You say, someone isn't happy with being a youngster. You were spot on. And you say, hi everyone, and hi Trish, hi to you. Oh, Minnie Telepound's here, everyone. You say, now that's an iconic African scene. Yes, it is. Absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness, we spent like, yeah, half an hour of the 45 minutes we have together we've spent here at Katmai Pan, which is totally fine with me because I'm happy to spend time with elephants always. Oh my gosh, everyone, move aside. Rolling Trouble is here. Rolling Trouble is here. Late, but here nonetheless. Thanks, Rolling Trouble, for making some time for us, for squeezing us in. We've had the most wonderful time with the elephants. Amberco, you're right. You say, I love when the Ellie herd comes to Cat-Eye Pan. It clears out the view of the pan when they leave, because all the grasses get flattened, so we get a clear view of the pan. You were so right. Absolutely right. Oh, look at this guy approaching. Or are you just eating? Come on, come through. Look at how wonderful and green everything is looking as well. There's been plenty of rain up in the low veld of South Africa. plenty, plenty. And that means that there's not a lovely green grass. And at this time of the year when grass is particularly juicy and green, that's when they make up the majority of elephants' diet. At other times of the year, once grasses start to dry down, when winter rolls in or the dry season, that's when browsing and tree cambium, the inner bark, or well, kind of the underside of the outer bark, I should say, that is the tree cambium. The tree cambium and browsing material make up the majority of their diet in other times. So right now, they're going to go after the juiciest, greenest, freshest grass they can see. And of course, as soon as those marulas start to drop, their dung will be full of those too. Ambiko, you also say that elephant herds are so interesting to watch and you're enjoying this so much. Me too. I could sit the whole day and watch them. I mean, I've been watching them and talking to you all and talking about elephants, but I haven't even had a sip of my tea yet. Can you believe it? I'm going to have a sip right now. Oh no, it's just past that perfect temperature. Missed it by like 30 seconds. Cuttlefish 45! Goodness me, I haven't heard your name in a long time, and you say hello. Sorry you have not been on in a while. You keep forgetting. We will forgive you, and we're glad that you're on board today, because we've had a feast. A feast for our eyes and our brains and our ears, watching these elephants. We've just got a few bulls left now. The rest of the herd has moved off, and they're all feeding close by. Now this is when things could get interesting. Everyone has fulfilled their need. They've approached the water hole so that they can drink, maybe to say hi to those in the breeding herds, suss out if there's any females, that are in estrus. Maybe they've done whatever their instinct needs them to do. Feeding, drinking, checking for mates. So this is when I find things get most interesting. Because now all the necessities are sorted. And then they start to play, they start to spar, get little fights, pushbacks, they'll start to talk. This is when I really like to observe them in person. Through the camera, it's not as, it's more difficult to pick up on the subtleties. Can you see that they're all kind of quiet and just swaying a little bit, moving every now and then? I reckon they're deep in conversation. Perhaps not even talking to each other, actually. Oh, there we go. Time for some pushback. I was just about to send us over to Rosie's pan because there's more elephants over at Rosie's. Yeah, let's head over. Let's head over. These guys finished their very half-hearted sparring match. Never mind. Our elephants at Rosie's pan have left. Let's head over to Oliphant's River. Nice. Oh, we've got an impala as well. a few impalas making their way across. A very different kind of scene. Now the type of area we were looking at over on the other side was very much very savanna vegetation. Lots of open space, lots of acacias, or what was formerly known as acacias. And we were not really near any river system. But here at Olifants, you can see that there are lots of different types of trees. I can see a tambuti tree, I can see figs. These are all the types of vegetation that you'd get in riverine areas. So a lot more shade. In Baluli, we were looking at, or at Katmai specifically, we were looking at more open, more sunny areas. Here it's a little bit more closed, a little bit more shade, and that means that we can see different types of things growing on the ground, things that are happy to be in the shade, things that don't like the sun too much. And it's just like your garden, you know, there's certain parts of your garden where there's a lot of shade and certain things thrive there, and other areas where it's full sun, where you definitely don't want to put say some of those plants that prefer the shade. Now, even though it looks quite windy and cool, you know, overcast I should say, I'm betting it's really warm. So this is a good spot to be looking for animals at this time of the day. Looking in dry riverbeds, in riverine areas, places where there's enough shade for animals to seek a little refuge from the heat. And not just elephants, of course. Predators as well. If you want to go looking for leopards at 4:30 in the afternoon, it's a bad time to go looking for leopards, just by the way. Well, it's not the worst time. The worst time would probably be like 2 p.m., 1 or 2 p.m. But at this time, you'd want to go looking in these kinds of areas. Areas where a leopard would sit down after the sun really has heated things up. Sit down and rest for the middle of the day. Definitely a good spot. Cuttlefish 45, you'd like to know if the elephants pretty much eat any leaves or do they eat specific types of leaves? It's just kind of about preference. So they will eat any leaf, but it's a matter of which they will prefer to eat first. Now, for example, there's some leaves that they will really not eat unless they have to, or unless they're curious. For example, the leaves of a tambuti tree. Tambuti trees, weirdly, giraffes like to eat the leaves of them. And the reason that tambuti tree leaves are not popular is because they have a poisonous latex. And so elephants don't particularly like it, but giraffes seem to be absolutely fine with it. If we had to take the wood from a tambuti tree, because you know that latex exists in the vascular system of the tree, so it's in the wood, it moves up through the tree, it's in the leaves. So if we had to cut a branch of a tambuti tree and use it in a fire and we inhaled those fumes, we would get sick. So it's pretty nasty, that latex. So elephants are going to be avoiding leaves like that. Their first preference, well, you know, it depends. Like in certain areas, for example, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, where you get a lot more succulents, elephants love spekboom. It's kind of called elephant candy. They absolutely love it. They'll go for that whenever they can. Up in these areas, elephants love buffalo thorn leaves. I mean, they're tasty even to me. And essentially it all relates to palatability. So palatability is a difficult thing to measure. It's all about how things feel in their mouth. It's taste, essentially, taste and texture. And buffalo thorn leaves, to me, I've tasted them many times. They're very tasty. They just taste like young spinach. But they release tannins very, very quickly. So elephants don't, I mean, they'll eat anything they need to, peddlefish 45, but they're choosy about what they eat when there is abundant resources. Like with most herbivores. There might be things they avoid, but when resources are abundant and they have choice, they'll go for those things that they find most tasty first. All right, we're right over now to Mabula. And we know that we have a blacksmith lapwing and their 2 eggs, a little nest nearby. I'm sorry if you can hear a helicopter overhead. Not at Mabula, but at my house. So when was the last time that we saw the eggs? Are they still there? I think they are, last I heard at least. Amber Co, you say heartfelt thanks to the Zoomy for the great camera work with the Ellies today. Absolutely, that was incredible. Well done, Zoomy. You got us some crazy close-ups of the Ellies there. Thank you. Okay, so now this lovely Zoomy has a close-up of our blacksmith lapwing. I can definitely see 1 egg. There were 2. Second one might still be there. But this is way, way, way past the hatch date of these eggs now. We must be going on 50 days, or close to 50 days now. Ordinarily, blacksmith lapwing eggs should hatch around 28, 33 days, somewhere around there, pretty much a month. And this is way, way past. It's going on to double the time. So those eggs are no longer viable. It could be that we are right at the end of the kind of the bracket. 33 days or 30 days is an average. But maybe there's outliers. There are always outliers. But looks a little unfortunate. Things are not looking good for these blacksmith lapwing. But also at the same time, blacksmith lapwing will just reproduce again. If they will continue to brood this clutch until they figure out that it's not working. How they figure that out, we don't know yet. Ali and I did a deep dive during Wild Moments, where we were thinking about it on Thursday last week. And we eventually came to the conclusion that there are possible ways that the parents could know, but at the same time there isn't any concrete research into how the parent would know that the eggs are no longer viable. We know that because we've been counting the days, but we don't know if the adults have been counting the days. So at some point, they're going to have to figure out that it's time to lay a new clutch. Blacksmith lapwings are the kings and queens of laying clutch after clutch after clutch. If you've been out here in the African bush, you know that no safari is complete without the presence of a blacksmith lapwing. Cuttlefish 45, you say, okay, so that's interesting. They're kind of like us. Some leaves they don't like, but if they have to, they will. Exactly. If the leaves they like are in abundance, they'll go for the things they like. Exactly. It's about preference. Because they will eat to survive like anything, but if the things they like are out, that's what they're going to have. Last question before we say goodbye. Lone Star Stinger, you'd like to know, are there crocodiles here at Mabula? No, they are not. But at Olifants River, where we were earlier, there are crocodiles. Anyway, it's time to say goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to keep on watching the cams, even though you won't hear my voice, which is fine as well. Sometimes I talk too much. It's nice to watch the cameras and listen just with the sounds of nature. So let me love you all and leave you. Thank you for joining us, for your questions and comments as usual, for telling me what you had to drink, all those wonderful things, and for spending this time with us. And I'll see you again soon on Thursday. So goodbye for now, everyone.